Today we are joined by the Jimmy Show for a very special interview with the Auld Triangle crew here. The Jimmy Show is back 16 months to the or almost to the day. It'll be before when James Gallagher steps back into the cage against Leandro Higo this March. James, how good does it feel to finally have a fight booked and to be getting back in there?
It's great. So it is just life as a fighter. Do you know what I mean? When you don't have fights coming up, it's not the same. Do you know what I mean? And then I had the hand operation, and then I had the Brett Johns fight booked up, and then I had stuff going on that I couldn't travel back to Ireland for that. Everyone thinks I was injured for that fight. No, I wasn't injured. So I wasn't that I just couldn't travel. So I couldn't. Then I had stuff going on here that I had to get back into America for that I could not be here for. Do you know what I mean? So if I had a went to Ireland, I couldn't have got back to America in the time that I needed to be back. So that's why I wasn't fighting because of visa issues. So it is. So it's been good, man. It's just been training, learning, growing, and keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, like I think it was. I think a lot of people were confused. They just assumed that it was an injury that forced the pull out of the Brett Johns fight, but it was so what? It was personal reasons or logistical reasons, or can you go into that a bit more, or no?
Not really. I guess so. I can't say why not, but I had something here. I had a date here that I had to be here for, and if I had flew back, I wouldn't have got back over in time. It would have took me about 3 4 months. I would have had to be in Ireland, which would have been no problem. Do you know what I mean? I would have been home, but I had a date here that I had to be back for, and it wasn't possible to be back for that date.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So you're taking on Leandro Higo on Friday, the 10th of March in San Jose, California. I think a lot of people, I was kind of scratching my head thinking Bellator's biggest Irish star, one of the biggest
Yeah.
stars in the company. Why is he not fighting in Dublin? Were you surprised that you're not fighting in Dublin?
Yeah, man, it's a weird one. I've been asking to fight in Dublin since September, October time. I've been asking to fight, so I haven't. I never could get answers, and then I was told it was getting Brett, and then things have been mixed. But I'm happy just to get back in fighting, and I'm happy with I got one of the top opponents. I've got a hard fight in my hands, as well as Brett would have been. Do you know what I mean? But I don't get why it's not in Dublin. So I don't, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I just show up prepared and show up and do my thing and get back on that win column and get the ball rolling again. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of the ball's not my court no more, really, after coming off a loss. You know what I'm saying? I can't really, do you know what I mean? You don't got that kind of push then, do you know what I mean? To get things the way you want it. But I'm just grateful to be on a big card now in California and be back doing my thing.
Yeah, no, like because it just seemed a bit odd to us and to a lot of people. Like I know obviously they set out every time, but
Yeah.
the Jimmy Show, to be fair to you, like is been a big reason as to why Ireland has had success or why Bellator has such success in Ireland in
Yeah,
recent years.
100%. You know what I mean? I'm one of the first. I remember when Bellator first came over. Do you know what I mean? I was at the forefront. I was the young kid at the time. I was only 18, 19 years old, and I was at the man in the front. You know what I mean? Out there on the firing lines for them, and not to be there is kind of like you can get annoyed about it. You know what I mean? And be like, oh, what the fuck? I'm not in Dublin, but man, I got an opportunity to fight Leandro Higo in California in San Jose. Do you know what I mean? That's fucking huge. It's huge for me, and it's a big opportunity, and it's a good fight. Do you know what I mean? So I can just look at all the positives from it, and I don't have as big of a obstacle. Do you know what I mean? Dealing with the crowds and stuff, and then fight week, which I love, and I'm going to miss. Do you know what I mean? And it's heartbreaking, but also I get to see the kind of positive side. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a different mindset, a different approach. And it's just solely focused on the fight. Do you know what I mean? Just nip up, fucking get in, get the job done, and bounce. And that's kind of the mindset. Do you know what I mean? Back to that kind of soldier mentality. Just go up, get the job done, and no bullshit, no nothing, and put in the work and get up there, get the win, and then get the job done, and then hopefully at the end of the year, September, I think. Isn't it that Bellator always go back to Dublin? So I feel like September then could be on the cards for Dublin.
I think it's a fantastic matchup against Higo. We'll
Yeah.
talk about him in a little bit, but you were scheduled to fight Brett. I know
Mm,
you wanted to fight him this time. He wanted to
yeah.
fight you this time. Why is it not Brett Johns?
don't fucking ask me, mate. That's the only fight I wanted. So it is the one I've been asking for. So it is. I do not know. So it is. I've been told that they just he's too born. It's not the fight that they want. It's not. Do you know what I mean? It was there. It didn't happen. And now that it's just not. It's not a thing. Do you know what I mean? That's basically what I've been told. So it is, but that doesn't make sense to me. Do you know what I mean? But I guess it's Bellator's call, and they're going to do whatever the fuck they want to do, and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do as well. I want to fight.
Yeah. Because there's been a lot of talk from his side saying that you don't want it or anything like that. But like what you're telling us, it's Bellator's doing. That's it. You want to fight, but Bellator are not willing to make it happen.
Yeah, but that's always everything's always me.
You know? Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Everything's always me. I'm always scared. I'm always this. I'm injured. I wasn't fucking injured. Do you know what I mean? I would say it if I was. I say it how it is, and people like excuses because they can't accept the facts. And what would people like? Oh, you're scared to sign a contract. I'm like, what contract? Do you know what I mean? Like, send me a contract for Brett Johns. I'll sign it yesterday. Do you know what I mean? To be honest, I think Brett's probably an easier fight. So he is stylistically. So I don't know. I think Brett's better, but stylistically, the fight suits me to the ground. You know what I mean? Both of them do. Both of them have different challenges, but Brett's smaller. He's a smaller guy. He's just that kind of style that's tailor-made for my game. And do you know what I mean? So hopefully I get that fight someday. But now my focus on Higo, and he's ranked higher in the division. He's been around Bellator a long time, and I feel like a win over Higo gets me back in more of a title shot picture than a win over Brett would. So it's another positive. But Brett's put away some big names. He's been in there against some big names, so it would have been nice to get in there against him also. But is what it is, man. Whoever the fuck's there in March 10th is who I'm going to be facing, and I'm going to be there. Do you know what I mean? And that's all that I can focus on, showing up my best, and that's what I'm going to do.
Considering that the Johns fight has been talked about, there's been so much to and fro on it. Is that one that you want, just to get going later on down the line? Or?
Absolutely. Do you know what would be nice? Is Higo, Brett, and then like Pettis or Raffion or one of those top guys. That's what I want. That would be nice. Finish out at the end of the year. Get him now, one in September, and then one at the end of the year. Boom, 3 fights. You know what I mean? Shoot back up there for a title shot, or else finish on the title shot.
That'd be some 3-fight run.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I want to go on a run. Do you know what I mean? I want to be active now for the next 4 or 5 years. I'm sick of I'm just sick of not being active. Do you know what I mean? I've had a lot of shit that I had to go through that hit me out and stuff this year, but it's kind of on the back burner now. So I'm ready to be active. Do you know what I mean? I want to get in there, back doing what I love, back doing having fun, and back in the mix.
Absolutely. James, it's been a crazy year. I'd say it's been a crazy year in many ways for you. One of the big stories, obviously you moved out to Kansas City, Missouri to train in Glory MMA. One of the big stories in MMA in the past, God knows how long, has been around James Krause and the betting investigation. The UFC have obviously banned fighters. Bellator have put out a strong statement around that. But I wanted to know, kind of going into this fight, has that affected your training at all with James? I know there was reports of him setting up the gym. Has it affected your training at all, or
yeah, massively. So it has. It's affected everyone. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't think it's a fair thing to. I don't think it's fair. Do you know what I mean? But life's not fair sometimes, and you just gotta deal with the cards that you're given. And yeah, I can't. I don't really speak much about it. But training's been different, and training has changed. But training's good. Do you know what I mean? Training's always good, and training's what you make of it, and it's the work that you put in. And it would be nice to see James back if that happens, and which I think it will. But whether he chooses to come back or not will be a different story. So I would like to see James back. So I would.
Going into this fight, like, who will be your head coach?
Jason High. Yeah, Jason High and Zach Cummings are who I'm training under.
Gotcha. So there's a new approach kind of heading into this one, essentially.
I wouldn't say it's a new approach. So it was. I kind of feel like I've had the same approach that I learned from John back in the day. It's kind of like you need to learn how to learn. Do you know what I mean? And that's what he give to me, and you just adapt. And we've kind of, when I came over here, Krause had like a big staple and a big way in how he ran things and a big way how he expected things, and that stayed. Do you know what I mean? That approach, that foundation has stayed. Maybe things are different. I mean, relationships are different. Different coaches, you learn different things and stuff like that. But training's good, and gyms is definitely missed. You know what I mean? But his principles have followed through. My own principles fallen through, and I'm a young veteran at this. You know what I mean? I know what I need, and I know what I need to do to win, and I know what I need to do to become the best, and that principle stays.
Has it been tough around the gym? Like, it seems like this whole betting thing is it's a new frontier, but it seems like there's such a spotlight on everyone around. Like, do you feel that is it stressful around the gym for not, you know, it's not just James, it's everyone kind of around? And
man, it's all white noise. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of it's mind blowing when you know stuff, and then what you read stuff. Things, I don't know what the fuck's going on these days, man, but people are just happy. Everything's for the internet. Do you know what I mean? No one wants to do anything to achieve a compliment. Everyone else just wants to achieve something for the internet, and people want to find out stuff for the internet. So it's kind of like, you don't always find out what's right. And it's absolutely mind-blowing to see the stuff that is going on online, and to see all this kind of, if you looked online, I'm sure everyone thinks it's a big deal, and it's a big stress, and it's a big this, and it's a big that. But nah, man, it's good. Do you know what I mean? People know what's what, and people think things are good. Do you know what I mean? Things are good, and people know what's what. And I can't really say much and get into it, but it's not the way people make it out to be on the internet. And the internet's a very fickle place, and people say stuff for reactions rather than for actions to happen.
Gotcha. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but by the sounds of things, it seems like you think James will be cleared of any kind of wrongdoing. When you moved out there, I know you talked a lot about the importance of James Krause and the influence and the impact that he had on like your mentality. You know, I remember you were talking to Ariel Helwani about like you were reading books every morning and that kind of world champion mindset. If he was to be gone from MMA, if this did turn out to be James Krause is no more in the MMA coaching scene, would you still stay in Kansas City, or would you go back to Ireland?
That's going to be a decision that I'm going to have to make when that time comes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and this is what I mean about everyone kind of just jumping to everything. It's kind of just deal with what you've got. Do you know what I mean? And now, to my knowledge, that what I feel things are going to be good. I'm happy where I'm at right now. Do you know what I mean? Life's good for me, and I'm very focused, and things can always be better. Do you know what I mean? But life's good. Things can be worse too. Do you know what I mean? So I think James will be back, and whether or not he still decides to coach after all this, and do you know what I mean? I can't answer them questions. Do you know what I mean? That's for the man himself. But no, James will always be a close friend of mine, and James is a good guy, and yeah, I hope to see him back doing what he loves to.
We're speaking about kind of, I guess, the maybe more negative side of things that's been targeted at the gym or focused on the gym recently. But on a more positive note, obviously you had your teammate winning last night at the UFC. What's it like to train with that level of athletes week in, week out, day in, day out, and then seeing them reap the rewards on the grandest stage?
Yeah, man, it's great. You know what I mean? And Brandon's he's different. So Brandon's one of those guys. Brandon's not what he looks like. So Brandon's a bad man. So he's a vicious man, and he's an odd one. Do you know what I mean? Just for how his character, how he bees and whatever. But then to see how he performs and how he puts it in, and the man's a workhorse. So it's great to be able to feel that. It's good to know what level I'm at, to be able to. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, things in the gym are different than when you get into fights and stuff. But it's great to be able to be beside these guys, see what the work needs. Do you know what I mean? He's pound for pound the best flyweight fighter in the world, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Have you ever built Lego with him?
Nah. Do I look like a Lego guy, bro? Do I look like fucking
I don't know what they do up in Strabanimal.
You gotta be a real bad man to be building Lego.
James, obviously your original lineup was on the Bellator Bantamweight Grand Prix. have you been keeping an eye on that and the progression of the tournament? And what are your thoughts on, you know, Rafael Stotts and Patchy Mix, who defeated you in the Grand Prix, is in the final right now? What are your thoughts on how the tournament has progressed?
Yeah, man, the tournament's been great. So it has. It's been great. Patchy's first fight against that guy, the guy, what the Haraguchi, this guy, man, that's a tricky guy. Do you know what I mean? And I thought Patchy would have won, but I just didn't think he would have been smart, like tactical enough to close him off the way he closed him off, and that was a slick performance. And then, yeah, man, then you had Rafion versus Sabatello. That was a great fight, very smart fight by Rafion. So now I'm looking forward to seeing this final. I think Patchy might win.
Yeah, like I think the story of the whole Grand Prix has been Patchy Mix's level of performances throughout each round. I mean, you had first-hand experience being in there with him. Like, what was your experience in there, and what lessons did you learn from maybe that loss against Patchy Mix?
Yeah, I learned loads against Patchy, so I did, and just going in and how the circumstance, how that fight was, and everything, and I'm happy with that fight. So I'm happy with how I did, and happy with how obviously I'm not happy, but I'm happy with some of the lessons that I took away from it. But yeah, Bam Patchy's very heavy, so he is very heavy. I wouldn't say strong, but just heavy, and why he places his weight and how he does, and you think you can do certain things that just they don't go the way you think they will go, and he very latches on to things very well, and I think that's what's going to be the factor of this one again in the final. I think that Rafian's going to feel like he'll be able to move him in a lot of ways that he just can't, and that will zap a lot of energy out of him, zap a lot of his mindset out of him, and I feel like it'll create I feel like later in the fight, Patchy will start to come back, and I wouldn't be surprised if I seen a choke at the end of the fight.
Obviously, that's another fight that you'll have eyes on down the line as well. Obviously, you have Higo to take care of.
I don't want it now, though. I want to wait because I think he'll get the belt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I would fancy him. I think I would have him as favourite against Stotts as well. And, you know, obviously you have Higo right ahead of you as well. Ideally, you're going to be looking up. I know we talk about Brett Johns and everything like that, you know, but a win over Higo means that you're looking at top 5 competition after that fight as well. And maybe sometime in late 2023, or you're looking at maybe 2024, where you'd like to maybe work yourself into that title shot.
Yeah, well, if he gets the belt, let's do it in Dublin, September.
Let's do it. I love it.
Let's go.
What's that? That would be absolutely brilliant if I had one or two big wins. Now, do you know what I mean? I feel like I'd be not back in line for a title shot yet. Do you know what I mean? The tournament's playing out, and there's a lot of people up there and stuff. But if I get 2 solid wins now, I wouldn't see why not. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure he would do it in Dublin. I'm sure that's one he wants. Do you know what I mean? Back in Dublin, why wouldn't he? Do you know what I mean? He knows what it was like the last time, and I'm sure he believes that he can do the same thing as he did the last time. So why wouldn't he not want to do it in Dublin?
I think he almost owes you one as well after the weight miss and the drama that was kind of surrounding the day before the fight happening. Do you think that it'd be just to make sure and kind of?
I swear to God, I've been the way I see it, and what I've kind of been dealing with this year and life and stuff is I ain't owed shit. I ain't owed nothing, and I don't expect anything from anyone. So I don't. But what I do is expect is myself to earn myself a title shot, and whoever that may be. If it's Patchy, if it's anyone else, I'd prefer it to be Patchy. But if it's anyone else, it does not matter. It's what I do for myself, and I don't expect anyone to do anything for me. I ain't owed shit.
James, like, obviously we've seen you at a very young age competing inside the cage. You've grown as a fighter right in front of our eyes, and you're still very young. Like you said, you're a young veteran. In the last couple of years, look at you've become a dad, you've had other stuff going on, you've moved out of Ireland. How much do you feel you've grown as a man over the last couple of years? Because it feels like, you know, we've seen you progress inside the cage, but I feel that there's been a lot of progression outside the cage as well in recent years.
Yeah, man, I've been put through some bullshit, all right. So it is, but nah, man, I can't complain. Life's good. I just, the way I take it is I take even when things don't go right, whether it's my fault or not, I just think in how I can improve as a person, and it stands to me. Do you know what I mean? And it stands to everyone around me, and that's the way I always kind of move through life. Is what responsibility can I take? What could I have done better? What could I have made better? And in some situations, you just can't make anything better. Do you know what I mean? So you just move around it and find your way. Do you know what I mean? So I would say that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I have learned is where when I was a bit younger, I'd have been a bit stubborn and kind of, you know what I mean? I would just kind of push through everything, and is where now I kind of, you know what's what a bit more. Do you know what I mean? When you get a bit older and mature, you realize what's worth fighting for and what's not. So world titles are worth fighting for, and bringing a world title back to my family and for my son, and setting that example of that no matter what comes your way, you stick to your own principles and your own morals, and don't let anyone else take you off that, and don't let anyone else make you feel anything by what you want to do to achieve your dreams. Do you know what I mean? And that's the kind of mindset that you need to be in, that you kind of got to be ruthless with it. Do you know what I mean? Because when you start climbing up, you start making some money, you start getting some recognition, you start doing this, people either want to take some of it, or else people want to come and take you off it. Do you know what I mean? So you got to be selfish with it. And as long as my mom and dad know I'm doing good, and as long as they know I'm training hard, and as long as they're happy with what I'm doing, well, I really, really sincerely don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. Do you know what I mean? As long as my family are good, as long as I'm good, as long as I'm happy, and that's it. Just live in there and keep going. Always trying to learn. Always trying to put yourself in situations, uncomfortable situations where you don't really want to be in, and just learn to live and grow. Do you know what I mean? How to thrive in those situations. How to be the best version of yourself when you don't feel like it. Do you know what I mean? And that's one of the key things is fuck how you feel. Do what you got to do. Do you know what I mean? And too many people are worried, I don't feel like doing this today. And I don't feel like doing a lot of things, you know what I mean? But some things just got to be done, and that's what I've learned.
James, obviously, you didn't get to compete in the cage, but a couple of congratulations are in order. You touched on it there. Congratulations on becoming a father. And you mentioned your parents there. I'm sure Big Andy and Doreen are delighted to be grandparents, are they?
Yeah, they are. So life's good, man. Life's good.
And the other congratulation we need to give you is you got your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt from John Kavanagh. Congratulations. What was that moment for you? That's years and years of hard work put in. What did that mean to you?
It means everything. I feel like it was probably before it was my first lifelong goal that I have ever succeeded in. Do you know what I mean? Other than becoming like a full-time fighter and be able to like financially free to just train and live my dreams, you know what I mean? This was one of the first lifetime goals that I've had since I've been a boy. And it was just one of them moments, you know what I mean? And it's like, I remember when I first after I got it, and then I went home or whatever, and then I came back and I went to train, and I put on my gi, and I was wrapping a black belt around me. I was like, this is fucking mad. Do you know what I mean? I remember being a blue belt, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like when you're on the mats and stuff, you get to a stage where you're just training to learn. It doesn't become about belts, and it doesn't become about that. But it was nice to wrap that belt around me and to get it from my coach John Kavanagh, who's brought me up all the way. Do you know what I mean? From white belt to black belt, and it was a great honor. And yeah, man, I remember being there, and the first thing I did, I took it off and handed it to my dad and said, thanks very much. That was it. So I didn't got it. Do you know what I mean? When I go to the gym, I don't even got it. I don't wear a belt. It's still in my dad's locker. So it is. So yeah, that was probably, I would say it's probably one of the proudest moments of my life, to really take that off and hand it to him and thank him for driving me down to Dublin twice a week when I was still at school to get training. Do you know what I mean? As much as work, as much dedication and work and everything I did, it was all on me to get that belt. But I wouldn't have really did that if it wasn't for my parents driving me to training, supporting me. Do you know what I mean? Provide me for a life to just do what I love. Do you know what I mean? And never pull me from left to right. And now as a father myself, it's one of the most grateful lessons that I could ever have from my parents is they never made me. They always guided me, but never told me. Do you know what I mean? Never told me what to do, but always guided me in the right direction. Never pulled me from left to right. Never put me in ultimatums. Never pulled me from side to side, and kind of just nourished me and let me do my thing. Do you know what I mean? Let me make up my own mind, and that's one of the biggest lessons that I'm very grateful for, and I'll always hold that to my parents.
Yeah, it's an amazing moment and a very special moment, and especially to be able to share that with them and who've supported you. And obviously, you know, it's been documented well how you traveled down to Dublin and ended up living with John as well as a young teenager, and to get that belt from him is probably extra special too. You know, is there you're so with the coaching situation all up in the air and everything changed at the moment? Could John be in your corner over in San Jose or no?
Yeah, John's always in my corner. Do you know what I mean? Well, he's physically in my corner. Is gonna be. It'll just work these schedules and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And what's feasible and what's not feasible to happen. But no, John's in my corner for life. Do you know what I mean? If John's there, John's in my corner, and that's you know what I mean. John's always going to be a part of my career, and is always a part of my team. 100%. But whether he's actually physically there in California, it's going to be a different one. But if he's in California, he'll be in my corner, and if he's in Ireland, he'll be in my corner from afar.
That's fair enough. We have a couple more questions, but just before we let you go, we'll wrap up now in a moment. But which fights? Obviously, there's a big card coming up in February in Dublin. You're not going to be on it. Will you be there? Will you get to go to it?
Nah, I'll not be there. So I'm in soldier mode, bro. So I'm a bar Sunday. I wake up at 6:30 and go to bed at 10 o'clock, and that's it every day. Training twice a day, focused, no distractions. When you kind of, do you know what I mean? I know I've got a lot of noise around and whatever. It's kind of a lot of people try to. There's a lot of distractions going on, so I just try to be as little places as possible and do as most as I can.
Is there a fight you're most looking forward to on the Dublin card?
Ooh, there's a lot of good fights in the Dublin card. Sinead Kavanagh versus Janae Harden. That's a banger of a fight. You got Brian Murs, another good one. Who else is there's one in my head that I just can't put the name to. It's like
Pedro versus Jeremy Kennedy.
That's the one. I just couldn't think. But for stylistic competitive matchup, that's one of the best fights. That could be a fight of the year contender.
Yeah, title contend. That's got to be, you know, winner gets the crack at the belt as well.
Has to be. Who is it? It's Pitbull that has the featherweight belt now, isn't
it?
Yeah. So he does. The McKee, he beat McKee there with the last one. They took the belt because I know they fought at lightweight and featherweight.
So I think they fought the rematch at featherweight, and then McKee moved up to lightweight. Then after that,
okay, yeah. So
might see that fight maybe in lightweight down the line, perhaps.
Yeah, that would be a great one. But Pedro versus Pitbull again. I'd love to see that. Do you know what I mean? And that first one, Pitbull cleaned them out. Do you know what I mean? There's no doubt about that. But I feel like Pedro's a dark horse, bro. So he is. Pedro's a dark horse. He's been my sparring partner for many camps, and that guy's built different up here. So he is. So if there's a man that can go in there and come back from that kind of loss and beat the same guy that beat him like that, it's him. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to that one. Wasn't your man that's fighting Pedro not supposed to fight Aaron Pico? Did they fight?
Pico got hurt.
That's a great fight. I'd love to see the winner fight Pico.
That would be a great fight. Pico is definitely coming up on that, and that is he's.
There you go. Move over, Jude Samuel. James Gallagher is good job.
James, I'd love to hear your quick thoughts.
Jude and Mike are losing their jobs.
I'd love to, before we wrap up, James, I'd love to hear just your quick thoughts. How do you envision your fight with Leandro Higo going in California?
It's a tactical fight. You know what I mean? It's not a difficult fight for me, but it's a very tactical fight. And only puck his head. I mean, he's a wee small head in the middle. Do you know what I mean? Do you know he's like? I couldn't believe that. Like, then he started looking. I thought he was about 22, 23. The cunt's 30.
Man child.
I couldn't believe it. It's okay. I thought he was in his early 20s. But he's in his early 30s, like 34 or something. But yeah, I can see myself poking him apart. So I can the first round. He's not going to hit me with much, and then I'm going to do the Jimmy G special and pin him against the fence, and I take him down, and I take his back, and I choke him out. That's how it's going to go. I know he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's from Brazil and all this stuff, but I'm the jiu-jitsu guy here.
Well, James, I think that's a great place to leave it. Really appreciate the time here today. James Gallagher versus Leandro Higo, Friday the 10th of March at Bellator 292 in San Jose, California, in the SAP Center. Great to see that you're back. It seems like life is going well, overcoming obstacles and moving forward. So it's a shame that we won't get to see you in Dublin. It's always a fun time when the Jimmy Show rolls into town, but we'll have to tune in from San Jose, California instead. So James, thanks so much for the time today, and best
appreciate it, boys. I appreciate it, but I'll be definitely back in Dublin by the end of the year. They've got to get a Jimmy Show back. There ain't no show without the Jimmy Show.
It'll be back in September. Good luck, James. Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, James.